Hey friends, welcome to Teacher TV. How are you? I'm Kayse, your host, and this is my co-host for today.
Ari.
This is Ari, and he is one of the 4 boys. Come on in. We're so happy that you're here. We're going to be discussing some amazing ways that you can teach virtually to your students. I'm going to give you my top 3 tips for teaching in a virtual setting. I've been doing this for the last 2 years, and we're just so happy you're here. Come on in. Tell us where you're from, where you're quarantined at right now all over the world, and what grade you teach. And let me double check just to make sure we're live. Yay, we are. So we're really live. They really can see you now. So, Ari, tell them a little bit about you. What grade are you in and how old are you?
4th grade. I'm 10 years old. My favorite basketball player is Stephen Curry.
Oh, and his favorite basketball player is Stephen Curry. He had to put that one in there. So if you're from Stephen Curry's way, let us know because he always wants to find out which one of my friends are from there. So we are going to be chatting about the top 3 things we talked about before, but a little bit about me since this is our very first introduction. I'm Kayse Morris. I was an 8th grade English and language arts teacher. I was a teacher for 8 beautiful years. My students were some of the best things that ever happened to me, and now I have the privilege of teaching teachers how to leave a legacy online, and that usually entails by selling their teaching resources through the popular website Teachers Pay Teachers. But for the next however long, that means to help leave a legacy to their students. Uh-oh, it says live video interrupted. Oh, there it goes. Let's see. Are we back? Hi. I'm refreshing the page. So we're seeing if we're back live or not. Let's see. Waiting. Allie, will you give us a thumbs up if you can see us? We may have to come back and go again.
Oh no.
Oh no. Thank you, Internet. All right, so we'll just keep rolling until I hear from Allie that we are not back on. Let's see. Are we live? And I don't want to get started on the teaching content just yet. The broadcast has been paused.
He's still typing.
Okay, it cuts in and out on Facebook. So hopefully we're going to just keep rolling with it. If you guys are still here for it, let's see. All right, so let me see. Yes, the video keeps pausing from Indiana. Hi, 3rd grade teacher. We're not going back until at least May the 4th. Yes, please share with us too when you guys are going back. So I'm a mom to 4 boys. This is one of the 4. I have a stepson that's 16. His name is Hayden. If you're watching, Hayden, we love you. And if you... Huh?
He can watch?
He can watch too, yeah. This is my 10-year-old Ari in 4th grade. I also have a 3rd grader. His name is Sai, and he is 9. And then we have a little baby. What's his name?
Asa.
And what do you think about him? He's pretty cute. He's pretty cute. He just started walking this week. So let me read about you guys. Amanda's from Baltimore. Hi, teaches kindergarten. Michelle, much love, Michelle. Thank you. She says hello. Sherry, hey everyone. I teach high school math. Cool. Ontario, Janice, so good to see you here. Thanks, guys, for showing up. We're so happy to be here. If you would tag a teacher, share this to your page. Honestly, not for publicity for our sake, but to help other teachers, because today I'm going to be sharing with you those 3 things that are super important when teaching virtually. So as I said, I was a teacher for 8 years, but I've been teaching teachers virtually for 2 years. And there are some things that are going to make this go a little bit smoother and are going to make things a little bit easier in the long run for you. And every day at noon Eastern time, we'll be going live. Either Ari and I, myself, or another one of my many children will be going live to share tips, tricks, and strategies. And at the end of this live, I'll tell you about what's in store for the rest of the week.
Every day?
Every day, yeah. Monday through Friday. So that until quarantine is over, we'll be here. So let's talk about the basics of online learning today. And next week, we're going to get into all of the software that I love to use, how to schedule meetings with individual students, group students, how to get your parents involved, and so much more. So many of you reached out via Instagram at Kayse Morris to let us know what you would like to see. And if there's anything that you need help with specifically, go ahead and put it down in the comment section down below. And we have a member of Team Kayse on standby that'll be grabbing all that information and sharing it so that way we can give you the best quality of service over these next few weeks or few months, who knows? Okay, so the 3 things that you need when starting your online teaching journey are, number 1, drum roll please.
Lighting.
Lighting. You need really good lighting, and I don't mean professional lighting. I know you're thinking to yourself, really, Kayse, but it's important that your students can see
The teacher.
the teacher. How would you feel if you saw your teacher and like the screen was really dark and she was trying to teach a lesson? How would that make you feel?
Weird, because it's like she doesn't really notice. Like, it's like nobody really notices her.
Because she's like, yeah, I get it. So there's some easy, simple strategies that we have. If you don't have these crazy fancy lights, what's one step that you could do to have good lighting as being a virtual teacher?
You can have a lamp.
Have a lamp. Now, here's the kicker with a lamp. Let's say that you have your laptop and it's on your kitchen table, okay? Grab a lamp and let's take the shade off of the lamp and set it right next to your computer, because your camera more than likely is embedded into your computer. That way it'll put beautiful lighting on your face so your students can see you. If you have 2 lamps, I would suggest doing it with 2, but what's best, if you don't have a lamp, what would be the ultimate place to go if you were trying to get good light on your face so your students could see you?
By a window.
Next to a window. Natural lighting is the best kind of lighting unless you're outside. Do not go outside for many reasons. That light is too harsh, so it could put a cast over your face, and all of the beautiful birds singing in the background are actually very distracting to students, and they can hear every little thing that's going on. Now, another real big strategy that I have for you guys is, if you're using a service such as Zoom or Google Hangouts, is to mute all of your students. All of my students and I jump on. He just went live with some of his teachers, and I said, well, was everyone muted when you jumped in? What'd you say?
No, everybody was like talking, and you only could hear like one person. So when one person talked, they switched to the person that was talking. So if my friend was talking and then somebody else talked, it would switch straight to them, and I couldn't see my friend anymore.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. So just as you would in your class, try to keep the piece that's going on virtually. So with my students are adults, but everyone is muted upon entry. So there's a way that you can do that with individual services, but everyone is muted upon entry. So that way the teacher can say what the teacher needs to say. And as you bring students into the conversation, you do things like you would always do. And you say, hey, does anyone have a question? And if Ari had a question, what would you do?
Raise my hand.
He would raise his hand, and then you have the opportunity to unmute them. You can unmute them yourself with many different services. But make sure you tell your students, hey guys, and we're going to go into all these details in just a second, but I can see everything that you're doing, and I can hear everything that you're doing. So make sure that you are being kind, you're being considerate of other people, and so much more. We'll get into that in just a second, but let's talk a little bit more about lighting. I'm so bummed I left my ring light in my classroom, and I didn't grab it when I had to go collect things. Sherry, I get it. Sit next to a window, though, and that'll be really helpful for your students. All right, let's see what else. Hey, Kelsey, so good to see you here. Our comments aren't coming in on real time. So Allie, if you want to text any questions that you see people having, feel free to do so. That would be great, because we can't see them, our comments coming in. Our screen keeps freezing up. Okay, so let's go back to lighting for just a second. So we said, grab some lamps. Let's put those on the kitchen table. Remember to take the shades off, sit next to a window, or make sure you don't go outside though, because there's too many different things that could distract us. Now, always do a test run and make sure you're looking to see if your lighting's great. But in order to know if your lighting's great, you're gonna have to look at your computer screen, right? Ari and I have a lens, and then we have a screen. But I just wanna show you a difference when you look at people through the lens and when you look at them through your computer screen. So you're mindful of that when you see your students. So if Ari and I were looking at ourselves while we were teaching, let's do that real quick. We're looking at ourselves, and if you'll notice, Ari's he looks down a little bit more because I'm used to going live and looking in the lens. But if you want your students to know you care and you're there with them, a great idea is to always look. Are you looking? Is looking at the lens. And it takes a lot of practice to talk to yourself and look into the lens, but make sure that when you get your lighting just right, you're being very personal with your students and looking directly at them through the lens. Okay, Also, if you have headphones, it's a great idea to use them. It cancels outside noise, and it allows you to hear your students better and encourage your students. Hey guys, if you have headphones, you can plug them into the jack on the side and listen to each other. Now, I'm talking a lot about younger children, but all of these strategies work for the older students, for our middle school and high school students.
My teacher was doing that there in the video.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. She used like these headphones, and you couldn't hear anything anybody else was saying. All you could hear was like hers was like the only clear one.
Hers was the really clear one. Yeah. So a lot of times your microphone on your computer is a pretty good distance from you, but if you have headphones on, your microphone will sit right next to your mouth, and it's a lot easier for your students, as Ari just said, to hear you. So that's another reason why you should use those headphones. And then the last thing that goes with our basics in the first step, with lighting, or not really, is once you get the lighting right, be overly theatrical. Your students miss you. They love you. They haven't seen you in a while. I don't care if they're middle school or high school. I was a middle school teacher. Middle school students love cheesiness just as much as a kindergartner does. So when you show up, wave. Be like, hey guys, how are you? The more theatrical that you can be, the more excited they'll be. And I'll give you some strategies for the younger students in just a few minutes. Of course, you're not going to do some of these with the older kids, but it's a great idea to be theatrical, tell them that you miss them, or do some different kinds of sign language and stuff like that so that they can feel it. Now, step 2 in our basics to online teaching, learning is what, Ari? Drum roll, hold on. Do we need help you with that word? You got
Atmosphere.
Atmosphere, good. So your atmosphere is everything. If you're laying on the couch with your dog, Melissa, our dogs' names are Melissa and Jessica, and you're in your pajamas, and your hair's in a bun, and you have no makeup on, and you're trying to teach a lesson, you do not look like you're ready for work, do you? Now, I'm not saying you got to get dressed up. I'm just saying do something that's going to be a little bit more engaging. If you want to wear a t-shirt, this one has butterflies on it. I can talk to the students about butterflies. We can talk about a lesson that we can read a book about butterflies or something like that. But your background is everything. Now, if you'll notice behind us, we have things set up for teachers because I was a teacher. So when people watch my videos, I want them to say, oh my goodness, like I resonate with that. That connects with me. That makes me feel at home. And that's exactly what I want you to remember when you see your students. If you have a foam board or you have any type of tri-board and you can create a mini bulletin board, do it. If you have any maps, what's something else that's in your classroom that makes you feel at home that you would love to see in the background as your teacher was teaching a lesson?
Well, my teacher, she has like, how we have posters at our house? Mm-hmm. A lot of posters. She has posters like be kind. She has posters on the wall that's what we're learning about. She had a shirt on like you were talking about. It wasn't a butterfly shirt, but it was like the planets, and she told us about the planets that day.
Oh, she did?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And she had like...
What teacher is that? She might be watching.
Miss Vaughn.
Miss Vaughn? Do you like Miss Vaughn? Yeah. Do you miss Miss Vaughn? He got to see Miss Vaughn right before we went live. So she had a shirt on with the planets?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. And so he's saying I think you could hear him, but be kind. All those shirts that say like be kind and all that kind of stuff is really good for the kids because it gives them that connection and makes them feel at home. So put something in the background that connects with them. Maybe if you have a chance to go back and grab things from your school, that would be amazing. But if not, just try to find things around your house, even if it's something silly as markers that you could put in the background. So again, what other teacher things, if you have any ideas laying around the house, what teacher things could you bring from your house? Tell me down below, write a comment. I want to see what ideas that you have. So I'm doing hey Steffi, so good to hear from you. I'm doing a checklist in my mind. So tell me what are some things that you have? So shirts we talked about. I have a shirt and I was going to wear it today and I forgot. It says free hugs. That's a great way to connect with your students.
Oh, I love that shirt.
You like the one? I mean, free hugs are not a good thing right this time with what's going on in the world, but it's a good way for your students to feel like they are loved. So how can you make students feel warmth? By using social cues as you're reading or to connect with them. So do you have a classroom pet that you could use that could make them feel at home? Do you love just using Ticonderoga pencils? You could hold up your pencil and show them. Those are the good pencils that I buy for you every year, the wooden ones. Yeah. My kids don't get cool mechanical pencils. No, they get Ticonderoga pencils. Do you have brag tags? Do you give your students any type of reward, like class dojo points or something like that? Could you print something out to show them? Like, hey guys, if you're listening during today's lesson, I'll give you a dojo point so we can use that. For me, where I am in my office, my students feel the most like they are watching me when the train's coming by. And hopefully today or any day in the near future, you'll be able to hear the train come by. My office is right next to a train track, and it makes them feel, they tell me over and over again, Kayse, I love hearing the train. It's just you. It's what you've done. So same thing with your students. Is there any noise or anything that you can bring up that's going to make them feel like home? Now, I know a lot of teachers do handshakes. Do any teachers at your school do handshakes?
Mr.
Who?
Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell does handshakes. So sometimes teachers connect with their students with certain kinds of handshakes. How could you do that virtually? Maybe just teach your students 1 or 2 really cool handshake moves, and all of you could do that virtually just to make them feel a little bit more connected. And what this will also do is that atmosphere and that excitement will get their parents involved. And we're going to talk a lot about parent involvement and why buy-in from the parents is so important. I don't necessarily need buy-in from parents because the people I teach are teachers, but I like to have buy-in from their significant others, their spouses, their kids. Bring them on camera, show them, tell your students to bring their parents on camera, to ask their parents what they're doing that day, what they had for lunch. But make everyone feel like this is a warm and relaxing place so that they'll want to show up again and again. So, could you sing a song to them? I know that Miss Adams, she did a virtual lesson with her kindergarten students today. She's from our hometown. She was taught kindergarten for both of my babies. And she said she just got overwhelmed with emotion today. And I know she'd be the perfect person to sing a song to her kindergarten students. So also, I love this idea, and I want all teachers to do this, but could you do a virtual interview, and we'll talk about the platforms that you can use, with a school guest? So do you know a janitor, a librarian, a lunchroom staff lady, a principal maybe, or the counselor or PE coach you could bring in to talk to your kids during the lesson for the day? So the PE teacher could do some virtual PE lesson with them. The counselor could counsel them for the day or something like that. But that is a great way to do an interview. And next week, I'll be showing you how to bring on special guests using different types of services. And then last but not least, you want to read this one for me? What could be another thing teachers could do to help with the atmosphere every day when they go live or when they record something for their students?
I actually really need this. I need a schedule so they can go over the schedule, what they're doing today, and what time it's going to happen.
Yes. So every single day, the teacher could run through what their normal school schedule was or what they could be doing while they're at home. So how bad do you need a schedule on a scale of 1 to 10?
9.
9, I would say a 10. One of my children thrives on no schedule, but this one, he wakes up at 6:30 every morning. He goes to bed at 9 o'clock every night, and he needs to know everything that's happening in his day like this. So a great way to build some atmosphere for your students and to make them feel like they belong there is to give them a schedule for the week. Like, hey, wake up, brush your teeth, read your book, join me live on this time. And it gives them something. Do you look forward to going live with your teacher or to seeing them?
Yes, Mom, and my friends. And my teacher, since I hadn't seen him in forever.
Today was the first day that he got to see his friends, and he was so excited. So let me see what you guys are talking about down here before we move on to step 3. Michelle, let's see. Sherry says the way they still have badges to claim as their own, and they could be. Oh, I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. Is this Google Slides? I love this. Keep the conversation going so you can help each other out. If you're watching on YouTube too, I don't have all your comments pulled up, but thank you for being here. And then we're on the final step for our first live, and that's number 3, and that is. Oh, I'm sorry.
Communication.
Communication is key. First of all, communication is key for every relationship in life, and no matter if you're going live or if you're sitting next to your spouse, but the first one is to make sure everyone's on the same page. Go over the rules. So at the beginning, we chatted about muting your students upon entry. So if you're muted and your teacher has turned your microphone off, what could one of her rules be?
When maybe if you raise your hand, if everybody's microphone's off, you can raise your hand. And she'll say, I'll unmute you when I raise your hand, but you won't until everybody goes, you might not be able to get a second chance.
Yes, good. Yeah, so tell them, be very clear about expectations. You may only get a chance to talk once today. Our chat room is only available if I ask you a question. So if I say, hey, how are you guys doing today? Everyone can tell me what they're doing. But I don't want you just chatting it up with your friends during the lesson because you might get a little distracted. Now, if you have a place for students to have a safe chat, then that can be fine. But during the lesson, only use the chat box when we are going over certain questions. Again, make sure to raise your hand if you have a question, but don't interrupt the teacher. Let her finish what she's doing. And then always remind them, we can see everything that you're doing. We can see everything that you're doing. So there are certain places that you shouldn't go with a camera and you shouldn't move around a bunch. It's very distracting whenever things are moving around. So make sure to get in a safe place and to be really quiet and still. Always tell them that if you're asking a question, then they can give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So if you're saying, are you having a good day? Give me a thumbs up if you are, a thumbs down if you're not, or maybe a middle one if you're not really sure. It's just kind of an okay day. Or if you want to give them a virtual hug, you could tell them to give them a big hug like this so that they feel loved, and virtual handshakes, which we talked about before. And then tell them to have a little bit of fun. Explain to them what the Brady Bunch is and show them... He doesn't know what the Brady Bunch is, guys. I'll train him after we get off here. But tell them to point at the person that they can see above them on the screen or below them on the screen, and then you can take a fun picture and share with them, hopefully once all of this is over. So before we leave today, though, I wanted to share with you, one of my students messaged me right before I jumped on this call, and it just touched my soul. But she said, Kayse, I've had the worst anxiety I've ever had in my life since all of this happened. And I didn't understand why, but I think I finally figured it out. And she said, I had such big expectations for my students, right? You want them to do so well. We're pressured with standardized tests and teaching all of the state standards and making sure that our students do well, that we set expectations on our students. Sometimes they're even unrealistic of the students we want them to become. And those expectations got stripped away from us in an instant. And instead of letting it go, we've internalized that as teachers. We've really put all of the weight of what has gone on our shoulders. And I want you to know that when you're praying for each of your babies and your students and you're hoping and wishing that things are going well for them, it's okay to pray for yourself as well. And it was just so touching when she said that. She said, we're not really giving ourselves the time to grieve over the what could have beens. And I have to stop talking about it because I'll get emotional. But, a lot of our older students are struggling. They're missing out on things like senior prom. And my stepson is, a pitcher for his high school, and he's missing out on this baseball season. And it's like the things that you always appreciate, you're really learning to never take things for granted. So the silver lining is that we're getting to spend a lot of quality time with our kids. And even though we're driving each other crazy at times, we're doing a pretty good job. Wouldn't you say?
No.
Wouldn't you say we're doing a pretty good job? So starting today and every day, Monday through Friday, noon Eastern time, join us for Teacher TV. Again, I'm Kayse Morris, and my mission on this planet is to help every teacher leave a legacy online, and that involves bringing your students and parents in too. We're signing off, though. This is Ari.
Bye.
Have a nice day. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow we're learning about strategies for building more relationships with parents, other teachers, and things outside of the classroom. And on Friday, we're creating a safer place for our kids. And then next week, we'll go into all the technical stuff. So we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye. See you tomorrow, hopefully.